Corvette story is an epic that really begins in the shadow of World War II. Soldiers would see the European sports cars and bring the love for them back home. As German tanks were rolling into France, two important people would immigrate to America, bringing their European touch to the Corvette. Their names were Zora Arkus-Duntov and his wife, Elfie Arkus-Duntov. This is Elfie's story.
You know, she's a remarkably beautiful woman. She was a native of Berlin. She was from a fairly well-to-do family. She was a professional dancer. You know, she studied ballet when she was growing up. She also did modeling as a teenager in Berlin, and she appeared in a number of different department store catalogs and so forth. Elfie was on her way to meet a gentleman for a date, and it happened to be raining this particular evening. She ducked into this cafe, and she locked eyes on Zora, and their eyes just were glued to each other. And Elfie came home that night and told her mother, "I think I've met the love of my life." She had, you know, remarkable memory, remarkable stories about the day they met, how, you know, they're dating in Berlin, you know, during pre-World War II, and how they used to drive around Berlin together in his open-top Bugatti. And you know, it just seemed like a magical relationship. When the war broke out, Zora rushed to join the French Air Force. And so he and Elfie were separated. She continued to live in Paris because she was still doing some dance performances there. But Zora was located down in the southwest part of France in a town called Toulouse. So he was in the middle of this training when the German tanks rolled into Paris. As soon as she saw those tanks, she, you know, threw everything she had into the back of this little MG that she had and got the hell out of there. She finally was reunited with Zora. Shortly thereafter, they started plotting their way to get out of Europe completely. In December 1940, they docked at Ellis Island in New York Harbor and went through those gates at Ellis Island like, you know, thousands of other refugees from around the world, you know, seeking a better life in America. And they found it.
After Zora saw the Corvette debut in 1953 at the Waldorf Astoria, he wrote a letter to Ed Cole, then VP of Chevrolet Engineering. Ed was impressed enough with Zora's ideas and insight that he soon hired him. Soon, America's answer to the European sports car would be having a European-born chief engineer who could give Corvette the performance that it needed. Elfie was there through it all, supporting him while simultaneously entertaining and networking with those around him. You did not know Zora without knowing Elfie.
She really is very beautiful and dressed very well and really fit the role of Zora's wife.
Elfie believed in anything he did, and whatever Zora was into, Elfie followed him.
Well, I like to think of Elfie Duntov really as the first lady of Corvette.
She had a really incredible life. You know, traveling with Zora, they knew all the racing royalty. I mean, she knew everybody.
Elfie was very independent, but it was before her time because women were not as independent in her age.
She had really just this remarkable drive and remarkable love of people, and she loved cars.
As the First Lady of Corvette, Elfie would go to Corvette events promoting Corvette and its chief engineer while also connecting with Corvette people. She would spend hours holding court with enthusiasts, and she was also instrumental in helping put together the definitive book on the life of Zora. Her spirit of adventure and love for living life with joyful abandon, coupled with her graceful elegance and beauty, embodied everything the Corvette is really all about.
You know, I think Elfie's biggest contribution to the Corvette community was herself, her passion for the car and for the people. She was a big part of the Corvette scene for many years. You know, Zora died in '96, and she carried the torch for until she passed on.
If you think about Elfie's overall contributions in terms of her just her spirit, her sense of design, her sense of fashion. I think a lot of that might have just kind of subconsciously seeped into the Corvette.
She really wanted to make sure that Zora got the recognition that he earned and deserved.
She would have impressed anybody that hadn't known her on how high a level she had of dedication to Chevrolet and Corvette and Zora's work.
You know, she was really passionate about the car, about the programs. You know, her life was dedicated to making other people happy.
I'm sure she's in heaven talking to anybody who would listen to her about the Corvette.
For her love of the Corvette and tireless efforts to promote it and preserve its great legacy, we proudly welcome Zora Arkus-Duntov into the Corvette Hall of Fame.